Hello there guys, how's it going? It's LazyBeast here, and today's video is all about the rarest mounts in Shadowlands. We're going to take a look at why exactly these mounts are so rare in the first place, and take a look at what you actually have to do to get hold of them yourself. These aren't ranked in any specific order of most difficult or most rare, they're just all quite hard to get in themselves. And with that said, let's begin. So the first mount on our list is the Hulking Deathrock. And this drops from the Violet Mistake in Maldraxxus, and it has around a 4% drop chance, which is quite low, but you're probably thinking, well that's quite simple, right? Well, not quite, and here's why. To get the Violet Mistake to spawn, you need to summon it at the Pool of Mixed Monstrosities in the House of Plagues in Maldraxxus. When you kill mobs in the area, they'll each drop a glowing object of their particular colour on the floor, which you can pick up and take to the pool. Once a total of 30 goos have been put into the pool, then a rare will spawn based on the colours that have been put in. There's a total of 7 different rares that can spawn from this process, and the Violet Mistake is just one of those. They each have their own specific ratio of red, blue and yellow materials in order to make them spawn, which you can see on the screen now. To make this even more frustrating to do, this is also sometimes tied to a world quest, so if you're in the middle of doing this, you can easily get someone turning up and just chucking a load of red oozes in the pool to finish their world quest up nice and quick, but it can totally throw your ratio off. To get the Violet Mistake to spawn, you need to make sure that the blue and red number is equal and that the yellow number of oozes is lower than the blue and reds. So for example, you could have 13 blue, 13 red and 4 yellow, or you could have 11 blue, 11 red and 8 yellow. If you're going to go for this, the best thing will be to try and get in a group of 5 people and to all work on this together, because you'll speed it up so much by doing it together, and if you're all working to the same goal, it's less likely it's going to get messed up. You can also pull the rares as far as you can close to the pool to stop the travel time being really long, because when you pick up these oozes, they're going to slow you down quite a lot. You can mount up, you can even fly on a mount while you're doing this, and you can use any speed buffs too to help you get there quicker. So this whole process being a bit of a pain in the arse and the chance to be trolled by people is why this is one of the rarest mounts in Shadowlands. On to the next one. Now this next mount was initially shrouded with a lot of mystery and secrecy, and from the start of Shadowlands, even back in the beta, there was one person that mysteriously found this mount and posted a video of him getting it, but didn't tell anybody his process. What a guy. It was many months later when someone discovered how to get this, and I am of course talking about the Slime Serpent. To get this mount, you basically need to solo the last 2 bosses in Plaguefall, Domina Venomblade and Margrave Stradma, on Heroic or Mythic difficulty. Now the trouble here is for some classes that's actually quite easy. If you're a tank or a class that's got a lot of self-healing, or like a pet, like a hunter or a warlock that can tank for you, then you'll have a pretty easy time, but on a lot of other classes this is actually quite challenging. Which seems to be why this still remains to be one of the rarest mounts in the Shadowlands. Once you've killed the last boss in Plaguefall, if you take the teleporter back up to the Domina Venomblade room, you'll see the curious Slime Serpent stood there waiting for you. Go over to him and he'll give you the mount. Our third mount takes us to Zereth Mortis. Now, you're probably aware by now of the Protoform Synthesis mounts. If you don't know what those are, I've recently done a guide on how you can get all of them. I'll leave a link in the description for that down below so you can check that out if that's interesting to you. Now the rarest one of these is the Russet Buffonid. Now, it's not that hard to make, what the difficulty is getting hold of the schematics to be able to learn how to make it. The schematic for this mount has quite a low chance to drop from the Paragon Reputation cache for the Enlightened faction, so you're going to have to get them all the way to Exalted and then get another 10,000 rep on top of that to get your first cache, and if you don't get it you're going to have to keep getting 10k rep and trying again each time. So you could need to get a lot of these before you actually get the schematic to drop, meaning it's completely down to luck. The good thing is, as soon as it does drop, the materials aren't that hard to get hold of to actually craft it, so at least there's that. Our fourth mount is one that you may have guessed. It's the mount that's rewarded from killing the jailer on Mythic difficulty in the Sepulchre of the First One's raid. Now this thing is really cool. As it stands, this is currently a 100% drop chance from killing Mythic Jailer, but killing Mythic Jailer is no easy feat, as you may imagine. Now it seems to be the case that the number of Mythic Raiders has actually decreased during Shadowlands for many different reasons, so seeing somebody riding this mount round is a very rare thing indeed. Like all the other Mythic boss mounts in the past, when the expansion ends and we move over into Dragonflight, this will be farmable, but the drop chance will no longer be 100%, likely around 1 to 2%, but at least you'll be able to go back and try and farm this. The raid will still be a challenge most likely in Dragonflight, so you could even have to wait a couple of expansions, maybe even 3, before we see people regularly farming this and you see a lot more of them appearing. Next we have a mount related to Torghast, the Colossal Soul Shredder Morat, which is learned when you use the Sturdy Gilded Morat harness. Now we all know that in Shadowlands, Torghast has not been people's favourite thing. A lot of people have done it just for the legendaries and then never returned again. Even with the updates to Torghast to make it better, it's definitely improved, but people are still just burned from the initial experience and don't want to go back in there. To get this mount, you're going to need to complete a flawless run of every wing of Torghast on layer 16, an achievement that Wowhead cites that only 2% of players have actually done to date. I'll link a guide down in the description if you are interested in going for this yourself. This is definitely one of the more attainable ones. It's just going to take a lot of work and a lot of Torghast. One good thing that makes this actually easily more farmable is the fact that the Torghast wings are going to be open all at the same time, so you're not going to need to wait potentially weeks for a specific wing that you need to do a layer 16 flawless run on to appear. So it's likely that quite soon you'll see a lot more of these mounts knocking around. And the final item on today's list are the Gladiator's Soul Eater mounts. Now, you probably guessed this one as well. I'm including all three of them in this list because getting Gladiator is not an easy feat, and if you didn't know, it requires you to get to 2400 rating in 3v3, which is classed as elite rank, and then get 50 wins whilst at that rank or higher. So as you can imagine, this takes a hell of a lot of skill and dedication in order to get the achievement to get the mount. It still stands in Shadowlands that there is no way to get a different version of this mount in any sort of PvP content, which is a bit of a shame, but that only goes to increasing these mounts' rarity, so if you've got one of these, well done. And that concludes our list of the rarest mounts in Shadowlands. Now you may be wondering, there's a lot of mounts in Shadowlands that have a very low drop chance that are farmable, maybe daily or weekly from certain rares, and I didn't want to just mention those because there's many of them that have about the same level of rarity, but we'll just consider all those honourable mentions. Thank you very much for watching the video today, I really appreciate your time. If you did enjoy it, please leave it a like, and consider subscribing for more content and guides for World of Warcraft. I've been LazyBeast, and I'll catch you next time.